This was awesome. I was cold, frightened, and then suddenly, halfway from Glendale to Burbank, I simply felt like an armor had been unlocked and my real body had been released. I felt warm, love, peace, and pure joy in that birth. I looked at myself for only a moment and at my husband frantically driving to the hospital. At that same moment, I began to multi-locate and was with my mother who was driving to Glendale for my son Larry. I was with my doctor driving to the hospital. Interesting that I also stayed all the time with him when I arrived at St. Joe's, but also experienced heaven and what I'll describe. I could tell the doctor everything he did during my arrival. I could tell him down to the minute details of accompanying the nurse to the basement of the hospital to get the plasma for me, to the oxygen in the elevator wall he was giving me while during CPR, everything he did, and they did while also being in heaven, being instructed and shown around. At the same time I was with both my mother and doctor and husband, I was also with my sister, Nanette, at the Los Angeles Stock Exchange, with my sister, Sharon, at college, and my brother, Raymond, at high school. I multi-located, knew their thoughts and what each was doing and related it to each of them. I was also with my son Larry, who was being cared for by Mary. I was vividly aware of each and every one of them. At the same time, it was as if I were in an invisible plane, hovering over the San Fernando Valley, and seeing the beauty of it all. At the same time, I was also looking down on Earth from space, and seeing how awesome Earth looked from space. I went through the universe, understanding within me that this was a place I knew, and suddenly I was on a real living firmament, a living place of pure love. The waters were living waters, the grass was living, the trees were living, and the animals were living, more alive than Earth is. My guide is actually an angel, with a solid body of light, in the same form and design as our earthly body is, but solid light. Words are inadequate to describe heaven, as it is fantastic. I knew I was home. I knew this was where I'd come from to Earth. In those 7 minutes of death on Earth, I experienced 7 weeks of time or more. Who knows? I first came to an absolutely serene and beautiful countryside. This is where I saw animals, including unicorns, and they were so beautiful and contented, so full of love. The grass, trees, and flowers were all so exquisite that my mind said so, and in return, a vibration of love flowed back to me from them. The water was so spectacular that I expressed this in my mind, and the waters were living and sparkled back to me with love. There was melody or music all around, not unexpectedly, and perhaps because I love music so much, and God has permitted me several times in this life to hear this awesome music, fully more melodic and more beautiful than anyone could write while here on Earth, just suddenly playing and filling my soul with joy. This angel took me to a place like a coastal community, where I flew above it without wings or plane, and it was colorful, alive, and so beautiful. And then I was aware this angel was male, took me to a place where there was a computer. Now you can imagine how difficult in 1958 it was to describe after I came back what I now have words to describe. So I will give you both what I saw and then how I tried to explain what I saw. He showed me God's computer. You got that? Heaven has a computer we will never catch up with on Earth. And the angel and I were discussing my choice to enter Earth in 1936 versus the other choice I debated, or that of the Civil War period. So he went over to a wall area. This room was white and very clean and orderly, and took a tiny case, which I now know is what we call a jewel case for CDs. At the time, I did not know how to describe this tiny case, but clearly it was the Civil War era. And he took from the case this less than $50 sized CD, which I described as a metallic record without a hole in the middle, and he slipped it into the tabletop. It wasn't a desk at all. Suddenly, the entire wall in front of me, I'd say that it must have been a good 50 feet or better, just opened up, and it was like looking down on Earth during the Civil War. And I was in it as a human being, female, and all this killing was going on. And I said in my mind, oh, I can't stand killing at all. This is why I didn't want to go to earth then. And as quickly as I thought this, I was back by the angel and out of it. The wall closed, and the metallic disc popped out, which he replaced in the case and put back on the shelf. After that, we went about several cities, and I saw one quaint, another of like green glass, and then another like so many of our own great palaces or majestic buildings. The streets were indeed of gold, and this awesome fountain was in front of one massive building that just sparkled blue-green light giving love from it. It is something you never forget. He took me into this very massive structure, richer and more beautiful than anything we could ever create on earth. I realized that all paintings, all woven rugs, tapestries, carvings, all we create on earth that is beautiful has its seed from heaven. We saw all this before we came to earth. We try to recapture some of heaven while on earth. We deeply desire heaven on earth. We miss heaven deep in our souls. I instantly knew that we were before we came here to earth and understood why we come to earth. We come but once. We do not reincarnate, but might remember a test phase before our final decision on the time frame of our life. We do get to check out the role we pick before we come, and we basically know how it will go. We can even decide to come during the same time frame as others we knew very well in heaven and try to meet while here. We do pick our families, and we do pick our race, color, and creed. That's part of the test. There is no race, color, or creed in heaven, only here for the test. And I will explain why the test, why some are deformed, why there is good and evil as well. It was enlightened to me while there, and something almost like wait, it is not yet time to reveal this information. There is logic to all of this as well. I understood death was really a transitional birth. As a baby is born from the mother's womb, it actually has died to its previous life in her womb, the life of water into the life of air. When we die to earth, we are born again, this time into the life of life from whence we originally came. It is full circle, but must be done to pass the test. This palace the angel took me to was spectacular and very, very high. I'd say the hallways were approximately 3 stories or more high. Very ornate and beautiful marble hallways with exquisite paintings and these columns that were of gold and detailed with absolutely beautiful adornments on them. There was some form of writings on the doors, which were fully 25 feet or more high and automatic as well. The writings were more like ancient symbols, but very familiar to me. I seemed to understand them. And suddenly we came to these 2 very magnificent doors, which automatically opened, and this awesome presence filled the marble-floored throne room. It was definitely the throne room, and I was acutely aware that I was only being permitted to view the reflection of God's light, not the full force of His awesome wonder. I was so filled with love and wanting to hug Him with joy. And His voice came within my mind, and He commanded me to stretch forth my hands and arms to see that I was made of solid light. And I did so. And then He infused within my mind the knowledge that we all are of solid light, male and female, each with our own identity and purpose, each created before entry to earth, and each was male or female prior to that entry. He contains both sides, and this is the truth of it. For it is not the sexual side, but the strong and the gentle of each side of Him that determined who we'd be created as, a balance of His being. And He told me within my mind that I would understand who we are and why we are on earth, and that He used me as His instrument to bring forth these sons back to Him, that I'd agreed to this, and that I was not being punished at all. These are His exact words. They are treasures so rare, I can part with them no longer. I bring these sons through you for my vanguard. They need no further test. I gave our father 8 sons at, or right after birth, but never lost faith that he would send children for me to love and keep here on earth, and He has given 5 children to love. Now 4 with the murder of my eldest son in 1980, at age 24. I have a peace most humans do not have over death, because I know that is what Christ meant by the words, "Unless you are born again, you cannot enter into the kingdom of heaven." It has nothing to do with the meaning religion has given it. It means it is something we all must do. Our Father also told me that I would have to go back to earth and complete my test. The test was not over, and there was much that I needed to do. He affirmed that He loved me and would be with me all the days of my life. Even when I fall down and fail Him, He has never left my side. I understood why there was good and evil on earth. It is actually a real battle for our individual souls. It is why we all have a guardian angel or good angel prodding us to do good, and a tormentor tempting us to do wrong. There is a lot at stake here, and frankly, our Creator does not wish to lose one soul He created, because we all are created out of Him and His love. It already saddens Him greatly to be losing a third of His angels who followed His first creation. Lucifer, He is overjoyed with the other third of the angels who followed Michael and defended Him, casting them out of heaven. Note, cast out but not destroyed for good reason. Ever asked yourself why we call newborn babies little angels, or why we want heaven on earth, or why we look upwards to the sky and want to fly, or why we are fascinated with space? Ever asked yourself what did the other third of the angels do during the battle in heaven between the good angels and the bad ones? Ever wonder exactly how the battle was won? The battle was of the minds. Love versus hate. Love won because love is linked to God. He is love, life, and light. A trilogy. Life is also a trilogy, and it is in the three forms we identify theologically to God, as water, air, and light, or living waters, breath of God, light of the world, or however we wish to describe the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Much like the sun being the Father, while the sunshine is the sun, and the warmth of the sunshine is the Holy Spirit. Anyway, I really did not wish to come back, but then again, knowing that I was an angel who had not made that choice in heaven during that battle, and did not deserve being cast out nor getting to remain just because, I came back to continue the test. It also explained to me why it was possible for me to be hit by a car in a crosswalk in February 1955, be thrown 134 feet across the lanes, head on into a streetcar, and walk away from it without a broken bone. Los Angeles Police Department has a police report. Evidently, I must have remembered in that moment, without consciously being aware of it, that I could fly without wings. I've had a life full of miracles, literally. Medical miracles written about and commented by doctors as, "Only you and God would do this to me." The instant that our Father sent me back, it was rapid, with the speed of light. I went through the universe so fast, and down to earth, and down to my body. Remember, though, that I also knew everything everyone I loved or connected to me during death was doing at that precise time period, while I was also in heaven. I saw my body on the table. The cesarean section performed, and Michael was outside in the doctor's hands, and I slammed in through my head as I watched Michael go out from his head. And then I was out, in a critical condition, and did not awaken until the next day when the doctor came in to tell me that my son died. But instead, I told him about it all, and the moment of Mitchell's birth back home. Imagine in 1958 trying to explain this to doctors. My priest was better at understanding what I was discussing, and then I just stopped talking about it and got on with life, because I now had the keys to the kingdom of heaven. It is about love. One must love oneself. This way we love God. He is within each of us. We then can love others, including enemies. We are here to love life, to live life, and express back to our Creator our joy in having life here and seeing how beautiful our world is regardless of how we make it. It is a very beautiful world that we should all stop to take into our souls for nourishment. I learned too that we are never asked to endure more on this earth than we were also given the ability to endure if we reach inside ourselves for that grace. We agreed to the test. We were confident we could do it, too. Oh, another thing I understood was that ghosts are just mentally projected images of the person sending the image, not the physical being. And that they can mentally touch, leave a scent of flowers, or if evil, the same. However, they cannot harm you. You have the right to make evil leave, and they must. And a ghost is not thin air, but a projection by thought when like walking through walls, etc. I even understand UFOs. It is what we expect in our time frame chosen, so it is what we see and get. Each era is different with different sets of conditions, and it is up to us to make what is important the focal point of our life. We need but love, and with it we receive faith, hope, and confidence to get through it.